At family lunch I said, I can't wait for the cabin weekend. But my mom said I'd be in the way with my baby, so I left without saying a word. A week later they arrived at the cottage and found that the reservation had disappeared, and then my mom looked me dead in the eye at Sunday lunch and said, Margot, you and the baby would just slow everyone down. Like I was some kind of luggage with legs. And the worst part? My dad, my sister Brooke, and my brother-in-law Kyle all just sat there, forks halfway to their mouths, nodding along like she'd said something perfectly reasonable. Margot. I'm 29, I have a 14-month-old daughter named Ellie, and until about 3 weeks ago, I thought my family actually liked me. Turns out I was wrong about that. Very, very wrong. And what happened next? Honestly, I still can't believe I pulled it off. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from where everything fell apart. So here's the thing you need to know about my family. My mom, Diane, has always had this way of making you feel like you're a guest in your own life. You know the type? She's not screaming at you, she's not throwing things. She just edits you out. Quietly. Surgically. Like you were never part of the picture to begin with. My dad, Gerald, is what I call a silent co-signer. He never disagrees with her. Not once. Not in 30 years of marriage. If Diane says the sky is green, Gerald nods and says, beautiful shade too. And then there's Brooke. My older sister. 33, married to Kyle, no kids, and she's been my mom's golden child since birth. Whatever Brooke wants, Brooke gets. If Diane is the queen, Brooke is the crown princess, and the rest of us are just background characters. Now here's where it gets interesting. Do you want to know who actually raised me? My grandmother. My dad's mom, Nana Ruth. She's 76, she lives in Savannah, and she is the only person in my entire bloodline who has ever made me feel like I matter. When I was 12 and my mom forgot to pick me up from school. Forgot, not was late, literally forgot. Nana Ruth drove 4 hours to get me. 4 hours. She didn't even yell at my parents. She just took me to Waffle House, bought me a chocolate milkshake and said, baby, some people only love as big as their own reflection. That's not your fault. I've carried that sentence with me ever since. So here's what happened. For about 2 years, my family has had this tradition of renting a cabin up in the Blue Ridge Mountains every August. It's this gorgeous place, stone fireplace, wraparound porch right on a lake. We all pitched in for it. Well, I should say I pitched in for it. Actually, let me be honest because you deserve the truth. I didn't just pitch in. I paid for the whole thing. Every single year. See, I work in medical billing and I also do freelance bookkeeping on the side. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm careful with money. I save. I budget. And 2 years ago when my mom floated the idea of a family cabin trip, I was the one who said, I'll cover the rental, you guys just handle food and gas. Because I'm an idiot. A generous, people-pleasing idiot. Can you relate? I bet some of you can. So this year I was excited. Ellie was finally old enough to enjoy the trip. She just started walking, she loves being outside, and I had this whole picture in my head. Her little feet on the dock, my dad holding her while she splashed in the shallows. I even bought her a tiny life jacket with ducks on it. Ducks. I'm telling you this because later when everything blew up, that little duck life jacket almost made me cry. At Sunday lunch. The same lunch where my mom destroyed me, by the way, I brought it up. I said, all excited, I already started looking at the same cabin. They have availability the second week of August and I can't wait. Ellie's going to love it. And the table went quiet. You know that kind of quiet? Where forks stop clinking and everyone suddenly finds their mashed potatoes extremely fascinating. My mom set down her glass, and I swear she had this little smile like she'd been waiting for me to bring it up, and she said, actually Margot, we've been talking and we think it would be better if you sat this one out. I blinked. Sat this one out? It's just, she waved her hand like she was swatting a fly. The cabin is small and with the baby crying all night nobody's going to get any rest. Brooke and Kyle want to actually relax this year. And honestly, sweetheart, it would be kind of a lot. I looked at Brooke. She was staring at her plate. Kyle was doing that thing where he pretends to check his phone. My dad? Gerald just cleared his throat and said, your mother has a point, Margot. A point. My mother had a point. That my daughter, their granddaughter, was an inconvenience. That I was in the way. Can you imagine hearing that? From your own family? At a table you drove 40 minutes to sit at? I didn't cry. I wanted to. My throat was doing that horrible tight thing where you know the tears are coming, but I held it together. I set my napkin down. I pushed my chair back. I picked up Ellie from her high chair. And I walked out of that house without saying a single word. Not one. My mom called after me, Margot, don't be dramatic. But I kept walking. Strapped Ellie into her car seat. Drove home. And sat in my driveway for 15 minutes just staring at the steering wheel thinking, they don't want me there. They actually don't want me there. That night I called Nana Ruth. She picked up on the first ring like she always does. And when I told her what happened, she went so quiet I thought the call dropped. Then she said, and I will never forget this, "Margot, honey, check the booking." I said, "What? Check the booking? You paid for it, didn't you? Check it." So I did. I pulled up the cabin rental site, logged into my account, and there it was. The reservation. Already made. For the second week of August. The same cabin. The same dates I mentioned at lunch. Booked 3 days before that Sunday dinner. And it was charged to my credit card. Let me say that again so it sinks in. My family, the same family that told me I wasn't welcome, had already booked the cabin behind my back. Using my card. The card they had on file from last year. Are you serious right now? Can you believe this? Because I sat there staring at that confirmation email and I actually started laughing. Not because it was funny. Because it was so unbelievably bold that I couldn't process it any other way. They planned the whole thing without me. They used my money to do it. And then they told me I was in the way. Nana Ruth said, "Now what are you going to do about it?" And I said, "I'm going to cancel that reservation tonight." She said, "Good girl." So I did. I logged in, canceled the entire booking, and watched the refund process right back to my card. $2,800. Gone from their little vacation plan. Back where it belonged, in my account. But I didn't stop there. Because here's the thing about being underestimated your whole life. When you finally snap, you snap smart. I called my bank first thing Monday morning and reported the charge as unauthorized. As it was. I never approved it. They froze the card, issued me a new one, and flagged the transaction. Then I blocked my mom's number. And Brooke's. And Gerald's. And I waited. Because in about 10 days my lovely family was going to load up the car, drive 5 hours to the Blue Ridge Mountains, pull up to that beautiful cabin with the stone fireplace and the wraparound porch, and find out that their vacation didn't exist anymore. Oh, and what I did next. What I planned while they were packing their suitcases. That's where this story really takes off. Trust me, you're going to want to hear what happened when they got there. And you're definitely going to want to hear where I went instead. So let me pick up right where we left off, because the best part was just getting started. After I canceled that reservation and blocked my card, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. You know that feeling when you've been holding your breath for years and you finally just exhale? That's what it was. Like my lungs remembered how to work. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because Nana Ruth called me back the next morning and the first thing she said was, "Margot, how do you feel about Hilton Head?" I almost dropped my coffee. Hilton Head? South Carolina, Hilton Head. No, Hilton Head, Idaho. Yes, South Carolina, she said, and I could hear her smiling through the phone. Your Uncle Reggie and Aunt Paulette have a timeshare down there. Right on the beach. 2 bedrooms, ocean view, pool downstairs. They offered it to me for the second week of August and I told them I'd think about it. Well, I've thought about it. You and Ellie are coming with me. Now let me tell you about Uncle Reggie. He's Nana Ruth's younger brother, so technically my great-uncle, and he's the kind of man who wears Hawaiian shirts unironically and calls everybody sport. He retired from the post office 8 years ago, and ever since he and Aunt Paulette have been living their best lives. Cruises, timeshares, early bird dinners, the whole thing. And they absolutely adore Ellie. The last time they saw her, Uncle Reggie held her for 3 straight hours and kept saying, "This baby's got my eyes," which she does not. Not even a little. But nobody corrects Uncle Reggie because he's 72 and he's earned the right to be wrong about things. So Nana Ruth books it. Hilton Head. The second week of August. The exact same week my family was supposed to be at their little cabin. The cabin they booked with my money, if you recall. And I didn't just go along for the ride. I said, "Nana, let me cover everything. The gas, the groceries, Ellie's beach stuff. All of it. This is my treat." She tried to argue. She said, "Margot, you don't need to. Nana. You drove 4 hours to pick me up from school when I was 12. You bought me a milkshake and told me I mattered. Let me buy you a week at the beach." She got quiet and then she said, "Well, I do like shrimp and grits." So that was the plan. While Diane, Gerald, Brooke, and Kyle were expecting to waltz into a mountain cabin paid for with my credit card, I was going to be sitting on a beach in South Carolina with the only people in my family who actually wanted me around. Poetic, right? I thought so too. Now here's where it gets really good. Are you ready for this? The second week of August came. And I know exactly what happened at that cabin because my cousin Tessa, Brooke's best friend's younger sister who somehow always knows everything, texted me the whole play-by-play. I'd blocked my immediate family but I hadn't blocked Tessa, and thank God for that because this girl was basically my war correspondent. So here's what went down. My family loaded up Gerald's SUV, suitcases, coolers, a brand new inflatable kayak Brooke apparently bought for the occasion, and they drove 5 hours north. 5 hours. Brooke made a playlist. Kyle packed a special bottle of wine for the first night. My mom brought a new set of linen napkins because she's Diane and she can't eat off a paper towel even in the middle of the woods. They pulled up to the cabin. The gravel road. The pine trees. The little wooden sign that says, "Welcome to Whispering Pines." And Gerald walked up to the lockbox on the door, punched in the code from the confirmation email, and nothing. It didn't open. He tried again. Nothing. My mom called the property management company. And here's what they told her. "Ma'am, that reservation was cancelled 3 weeks ago. The refund was processed to the card on file." Diane said, "What do you mean it was cancelled? Who cancelled it?" "The account holder. A Ms. Margot Hale." Tessa said my mom's face went white. She actually went pale, standing in the driveway with her linen napkins and her rolling suitcase, 5 hours from home with no cabin, no reservation, and here's the kicker, no way to rebook because it was peak season and everything within 100 miles was sold out. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't there, obviously. I was in Hilton Head, sitting on a balcony, watching Ellie try to eat sand for the first time while Nana Ruth laughed so hard she spilled her sweet tea. Uncle Reggie was grilling shrimp on the patio in his flip-flops, and Aunt Paulette was teaching me how to make her peach cobbler. The real kind with the brown sugar crust, not that box stuff. And do you know what I felt? I felt like I was home. For the first time in maybe my entire adult life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. But back in the mountains, chaos. Absolute chaos. Tessa told me Brooke tried to call me 17 times. 17. My phone didn't ring once because she was blocked, but Tessa saw the call log later. My mom tried 12 times. Gerald tried twice. Because that's Gerald, he does the bare minimum even when panicking. Kyle didn't call at all because, and this is a direct quote from Tessa, Kyle was sitting in the car eating trail mix and pretending none of this was happening. Honestly, Kyle might be the smartest one in that family. Then Brooke figured it out. She called me from a gas station payphone. Yes, those still exist apparently, and my phone actually rang because I hadn't blocked that number. I saw an unknown number and almost didn't pick up. But something told me to answer. Call it instinct. Call it curiosity. Call it the fact that I am absolutely human and I wanted to hear what she had to say. I picked up. "Hello. Margot." Brooke's voice was shaking. Not with sadness. With fury. "What did you do?" I took a sip of my lemonade. I was literally holding a lemonade, you can't make this up, and I said, "I canceled my reservation, Brooke. My card. My booking. My decision. You ruined our vacation." "No, I canceled my vacation that you told me I wasn't invited to. There's a difference." She went quiet for a second. Then she said, "Mom is going to lose it. Mom already lost it when she told me my baby was an inconvenience. I'm just responding accordingly. Do you think I was too harsh? Honestly, tell me. Because in that moment, sitting on that balcony with the ocean right there and my daughter babbling in the background, I didn't feel harsh. I felt free." Brooke hung up on me. And honestly, I expected that. What I didn't expect was what happened next. About 2 hours later, I was helping Aunt Paulette set the table for dinner. My phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it and it was from my dad, Gerald. He'd texted me from my mom's iPad somehow, because I guess Gerald can figure out technology when he's desperate enough. The text said, "Margot, this was wrong of you. We need to talk like adults. Call your mother." I read it twice. And then I typed back, "Gerald, booking a vacation on my credit card without my permission was wrong. Telling me I wasn't welcome at a trip I was paying for was wrong. I'm with Nana Ruth, Uncle Reggie and Aunt Paulette in Hilton Head this week. Ellie's having a wonderful time. When you're ready to apologize, actually apologize, not just sweep it under the rug. You know how to reach me." Then I blocked that number too. Nana Ruth saw me put my phone down and said, "They found out. They found out." She nodded, took a bite of her cobbler, and said, "Good. Pass the whipped cream." I swear that woman is my hero. Now listen, the vacation itself. It was everything. Ellie put her feet in the ocean for the first time and screamed. Not a scared scream, a thrilled scream, like the waves were the most exciting thing she'd ever experienced. Uncle Reggie carried her around the pool on his shoulders and sang Brown-Eyed Girl, completely off-key. Aunt Paulette braided my hair on the porch one evening and told me stories about Nana Ruth when she was young. Apparently, Nana Ruth once told off a bank manager in 1974 for refusing her a checking account, and the man apologized on the spot. Runs in the family, I guess. And every night after Ellie went down, Nana Ruth and I sat on that balcony and just talked. Real talks. The kind where you say the things you've been carrying for years. She told me something one of those nights that I need to share with you. She said, "Margot, your mother isn't a bad person. She's a scared one. She's scared of anything she can't control, and you've always been the one she couldn't control. That's why she pushes you away. It's not right. It's not okay. But I want you to understand it so that whatever you decide to do next, you decide it clearly." I didn't know what I was going to decide. Not yet. But something was already building. Because while I was having the best week of my life, my family back home was falling apart. And what happened when I got back from Hilton Head, when my mom showed up at my door, that's when everything changed for real. You're going to want to hear how this ends because even I didn't see it coming. So I got back from Hilton Head on a Sunday evening. Ellie was asleep in her car seat, sunburned on her little nose because apparently I missed a spot. Mother of the year, I know. And I was pulling into my driveway feeling the most relaxed I'd felt in years. The kind of relaxed where your shoulders aren't up by your ears for once. And there, sitting on my front porch steps like a stray cat who'd found the wrong house, was my mother. Diane was just sitting there. No makeup, hair in a ponytail, which for my mother is basically the equivalent of a public breakdown, and she was holding a Tupperware container. Because even when Diane ambushes you, she brings food. I think it's a Southern thing. Or a guilt thing. Probably both. I sat in the car for a full minute, just looking at her through the windshield. Part of me wanted to throw it in reverse and drive straight back to Savannah. But Ellie was asleep. I had a trunk full of sandy beach towels and honestly, I was tired of running from this conversation. I got out, pulled Ellie's car seat out as gently as I could, and walked toward the porch. My mom stood up. Her eyes were red. And the first thing she said was, "I made your grandmother's banana pudding." Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I was wrong." Banana pudding. I walked past her, unlocked the door and said, "You can come in for 10 minutes. She followed me inside like a kid who'd been sent to the principal's office. Stood in my kitchen while I set Ellie's car seat down and started unpacking. She put the Tupperware on the counter. And then she just stood there, hands clasped like she was waiting for me to start. I didn't start. I let the silence sit. Because here's something Nana Ruth taught me. Whoever speaks first in an argument loses ground. And I was done losing ground with this woman. Finally, my mom said, "Margot, I know you're upset." "Upset," I repeated. Flat. No emotion. "Yes. And your father and I want to talk about what happened." "What happened, Mom?" "You mean when you told me my daughter was a burden, or when you booked a vacation on my credit card without asking, or when you drove 5 hours to a cabin you assumed I'd pay for after telling me I wasn't welcome? Which part do you want to talk about? Because I've got 10 minutes and that's a lot of ground to cover." She flinched. He actually flinched. And I know some of you might think I was being cold. But can you honestly tell me she didn't deserve to hear that? After everything? I needed her to sit in the discomfort for once instead of me. She sat down at my kitchen table and said, "The credit card, that was Brooke's idea." "Oh, so now we're throwing Brooke under the bus." Interesting. "Brooke said you wouldn't mind because you always pay for it anyway and she thought it would be easier to just book it and tell you later." I should have said no. I know that. But I didn't and that was wrong. I leaned against the counter. And telling me I was in the way? She looked at her hands. "That came out wrong." "No, Mom. Came out exactly the way you meant it. You didn't want me and Ellie there. Just say it." She stopped. Swallowed. And then for the first time in maybe my entire life, my mother said something real. "I don't know how to be around you anymore, Margot. You became a mother and you changed. You have this whole life that I'm not part of and I don't know where I fit, and instead of saying that, I pushed you away. I've been pushing you away since Ellie was born and I know it. No. I need to stop here and tell you something. I was ready for a fight. I had practiced speeches in the shower. I had bullet points, people. Mental bullet points. I was not prepared for my mother to be vulnerable. That was not on my bingo card. I didn't say anything for a long time. I just stood there holding a sandy beach towel, looking at this woman who had made me feel small my entire life, and for the first time she looked small herself. I said, "That's not an excuse, Mom." "I know. You let Brooke use my card. You didn't defend me at that table. You called me dramatic when I left." "I know. And you didn't call me once, not once, in 3 weeks to apologize. You texted me from an iPad telling me to call your mother, like I was the one who owed somebody something. That was your father. But I should have called myself." "You're right." I sat down across from her. And I said the thing I'd been holding since that Sunday lunch. "Mom, do you even like me?" She started crying. Not the pretty kind. The ugly kind where your face crumbles and you can't catch your breath. And she said, "I love you so much, Margot. I just don't know how to show it without messing it up." So, here's where I have to be honest with all of you. That sentence cracked something in me. I didn't forgive her on the spot. I'm not that generous, and honestly, words are easy. Anyone can cry and say the right thing when they've been caught. But something shifted. A door that I thought I'd sealed shut open just a crack. Just enough to let some air in. I told her, "I need time. I'm not ready to just go back to normal. And there are conditions." She nodded. "Okay. First, you're paying me back every cent of that cabin rental. Not Brooke. Not Dad. Because you're the one who let it happen." "Done." Second, you're going to apologize to me in front of the whole family. Not in private, not over text. At the table. The same table where you humiliated me. She hesitated. But she said, okay. Third, and this is the big one, Mom. Brooke needs to hear this too because I'm done being the family ATM. I'm done paying for vacations I'm not invited to. I'm done being the one who gives and gives while everyone else takes. If this family wants to be a family, it starts with respect. And if Brooke can't give me that, then Brooke and I are done. She wiped her eyes and said, I'll talk to Brooke. No. Brooke can talk to me herself. If she wants to. My mom left that night. She took her banana pudding with her. I didn't touch it, and yes, that was petty, but I think I'd earned a little petty at that point, don't you? Now here's what happened over the next 2 weeks. And this is where it gets complicated because life is never as clean as we want it to be. Gerald called me 3 days later. Not from an iPad this time, from his actual phone. And he said something that genuinely surprised me. He said, Margot, I've been a coward. I sat at that table and I said your mother had a point when she didn't have one. I was wrong and I'm sorry. Gerald. The man who hasn't voiced an original opinion since 1996. He apologized. Unprompted. I almost fell off my chair. I said, thank you, Dad. That means a lot. He said, Ruth called me. Of course she did. Nana Ruth, pulling strings from Savannah like she's running a whole operation. That woman is not to be underestimated. Then came Brooke. And this is the part one honestly wasn't sure would go well. Brooke showed up at my door on a Wednesday afternoon. No Tupperware. No tears. Just Brooke in her yoga pants and her Starbucks cup, standing on my porch looking like she'd rather be literally anywhere else. She said, can we talk? I let her in. We sat in the living room. Ellie was playing on the floor with her stacking cups, and Brooke watched her for a minute before she said anything. Then she said, I used your card because I didn't think you'd say no. That's not the same as asking, Brooke. I know. And I know you're mad about the cabin thing, and I know Mom said some awful stuff. But honestly, Margot, I was jealous. That stopped me. Jealous? Of what? Of you and Ellie. Of the way Nana Ruth looks at her. Of the way everyone lights up around your daughter. Kyle and I have been trying for 2 years and it's not happening, and every time I see Ellie her voice cracked. I just feel like I'm failing at something you made look easy. I was not expecting that either. This whole week was just full of people being honest for the first time in their lives, and I did not have the emotional bandwidth for all of it. I said, Brooke, I'm sorry you're going through that. I really am. But you don't get to take that out on me. You don't get to use my money behind my back and then exclude me because looking at my daughter hurts you. That's not fair. She nodded. I know. I'm sorry. I really am. And you know what? I believed her. Not because it was a perfect apology, but because she said it while looking at Ellie and I could see it in her face. The wanting, the sadness, the regret. She wasn't performing. He was just being honest. Maybe for the first time with me. I said, we're going to need to start over, Brooke. Like from scratch. And it's going to take time. He said, I know. Can I hold her? I handed her Ellie. And Ellie, my beautiful chaotic sand-eating daughter, grabbed a fistful of Brooke's hair and yanked it so hard Brooke yelped. And we both started laughing. Not because it was that funny, but because we needed to laugh. We needed something to break the tension before it broke us. So here's where things stand. It's been about 6 weeks since all of this went down. My mom made that apology at the family table in front of everyone the next Sunday dinner. It was awkward. It was clumsy. She cried into her pot roast. But she did it. Gerald backed her up, and for once he actually used his own words. Brooke paid me back $1,500, her half of the cabin cost. My mom paid the rest. It showed up in my account with a Venmo note that said, I'm sorry, with a heart emoji. It's not poetry, but from Diane it's basically Shakespeare. Nana Ruth? She called me after that Sunday dinner and said, how'd it go? I said, they apologized. All of them. She said, do you believe them? I thought about it. Really thought about it. And I said, I believe they're trying. And right now that's enough. She said, that's wisdom, baby. Now Reggie wants to know if you and Ellie are coming for Thanksgiving. He's already bought the turkey and it's September. I laughed. Tell Uncle Reggie we'll be there. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you my family is fixed. We're not. Trust doesn't come back overnight, and there are still moments when my mom says something and I feel my shoulders tense up, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Brooke and I are talking more, but it's careful. Measured. Like we're both walking on ice and trying not to crack it. But here's what I've learned from all of this. You teach people how to treat you. And for 29 years I taught my family that I would always show up, always pay, always forgive, and never push back. The second I stopped doing that, the second I canceled that cabin and chose myself, everything changed. Not because I was cruel, but because I finally said, I deserve better than this, and I meant it. Ellie's 15 months old now. She's walking everywhere, getting into everything, and she still tries to eat sand whenever she gets the chance. And every time I look at her, I think about the kind of woman I want her to become. I want her to be kind, but I don't want her to be a doormat. I want her to love her family, but I want her to love herself first. And I want her to know, really know deep in her bones, that she is never, ever in the way. Because she's not. And neither am I. Not anymore. So that's my story. All of it. The messy, petty, complicated, banana pudding refusing truth. If you made it this far, honestly, thank you. It means more than you know just to feel heard. If you like this story, please leave a like. It helps more than you'd think. And if there's something you disagreed with or something you would have done differently, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. Maybe you've been through something similar, maybe you're going through it right now. Whatever it is, share it because that's how we remind each other we're not alone in this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Take care of yourselves, and take care of the people who actually show up for you. They're the ones who matter.